3 weeks after the clinic visit, everything changed. Not because of Richard, not because of the plan, because of a man I'd never met before. His name was Dr. James Chen, and he was about to turn our entire world upside down. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up. Those 3 weeks were strange, beautiful, and terrible at the same time. Marcus and I were living like a real couple now. No more separate wings, no more distance. We'd moved into the same bedroom the night after the clinic. Not because we had to, because we wanted to. Because pretending we didn't love each other had become harder than admitting we did. We'd wake up tangled together. He'd make coffee while I read the morning news. We'd eat breakfast, actually talking, laughing sometimes, about small things that didn't matter, but somehow mattered more than anything. It felt like playing house, like being normal people with normal problems, except we weren't normal, and our problems were anything but. The clinic called on a Tuesday. They'd found a donor match. The procedure could happen as early as next week. "Are you ready?" Marcus asked me that night. We were in bed, his arm around me, my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "I don't know. Are you?" I keep thinking about what this means. A child who's yours but not mine. Biologically, I mean. Does that bother you? He was quiet for a long moment. It should, but it doesn't. Is that strange? Why doesn't it bother you? Because I'll raise them, love them, be their father in every way that matters. The genetics? He pressed a kiss to my forehead. That's just science. Family is something different. My mother taught me that before she died. Blood doesn't make family. Choice does. I tilted my head to look at him. You're going to be an amazing father. I hope so, because mine set a pretty low bar. We laughed. It felt good to laugh about something that had caused so much pain. What do you think Richard's doing right now? I asked, probably counting down the days until we make the announcement. He thinks he's won. Maybe he has. No, Marcus's voice was firm. He hasn't won, because whatever happens, we have this. Us. He can't touch that. I wanted to believe him. I really did. But I couldn't shake the feeling that Richard was out there somewhere, planning something we hadn't anticipated. I should have trusted that feeling. The procedure was scheduled for Friday morning. Thursday night, we had a business dinner we couldn't cancel. Some investors Marcus needed to keep happy. People who didn't know about contracts or blackmail or any of the darkness underneath the Harrington empire. To them, we were just a young couple running a successful company. I wore the emerald dress from the first benefit. Marcus wore his best suit. We looked perfect together. "Ready to perform?" he asked as we pulled up to the restaurant. Always. But this time, the performance wasn't for the cameras. We weren't faking anything anymore. When Marcus helped me out of the car, when he took my hand, when he looked at me like I was the most important person in the room, that was real, and everyone could see it. The Harringtons, one of the investors, a man named Robert, greeted us warmly. "You two look radiant. Marriage clearly agrees with you." "It does," Marcus said, squeezing my hand. And he meant it. We mingled, made small talk, discussed quarterly projections and market trends, all the boring, normal things that rich people discuss over expensive food. I was actually enjoying myself. Then he walked in, Dr. James Chen, not dressed like a doctor, dressed like he belonged here, expensive suit, confident walk. And when he saw me, his face lit up with genuine surprise. Ava? Ava Thompson? I stared at him, my mind racing. Nobody here knew my maiden name. I was Ava Harrington now. I'm sorry, I said carefully. Do we know each other? From college. We had biochemistry together. You probably don't remember. Me? I was the guy who always asked too many questions in lab. He laughed, warm and easy. James Chen, though everyone called me Jimmy back then. And suddenly, I did remember, vaguely, a friendly face in a sea of students. Someone who'd helped me study for finals once. Jimmy, I said. Wow, it's been years. 6 years, he smiled. You look amazing. Life's clearly been good to you. Marcus's hand tightened on mine, just slightly, but I felt it. Dr. Chen, Robert interrupted, pulling James into our circle. Let me introduce you. This is Marcus Harrington and his wife, Ava. Marcus, Ava. Dr. Chen is the researcher I was telling you about. Brilliant work in genetic markers and hereditary disease prevention. Genetic markers. Of course. The universe had a terrible sense of humor. Pleasure to meet you, Marcus said, his voice perfectly polite and perfectly cold. The pleasure's mine. I've heard incredible things about your company. James turned back to me, and I had no idea Ava Thompson had married Marcus Harrington. You always said you wanted to be a teacher, not a CEO's wife. There was no judgment in his voice, just friendly surprise. But I saw Marcus stiffen beside me. Plans change, I said lightly. They certainly do. James's smile never wavered. Well, it's wonderful to see you again. We should catch up sometime. I'd love to hear what you've been up to. That would be nice, I said automatically, the way you do when someone suggests something that will never happen. But Marcus heard it differently. For the rest of dinner, he was distant, polite to everyone else, but barely speaking to me. His hand left mine. He sat with a careful inch of space between us. The performance was over, and I didn't know why. We drove home in silence. I waited for Marcus to say something, anything, but he just stared out the window, his jaw tight. Are you going to tell me what's wrong? I finally asked. Nothing's wrong. Marcus, did you date him? The question caught me off guard. What? Dr. Chen, James, Jimmy. Marcus's voice was carefully controlled. Did you date him in college? No, we were just in the same class. We barely knew each other. He seemed to know you pretty well. He remembered my name from 6 years ago. That's not the same as knowing me. He looked at you like he wanted to know you better. I blinked. Are you jealous? No. Marcus? Fine. Yes, maybe. I don't know. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. He looked at you the way I should be able to look at you, without secrets, without contracts, like you were just a woman he found interesting and not a pawn in some billionaire's revenge plot. You do look at me that way. Do I? Or am I always seeing you through the lens of everything we're trying to survive? Tonight, watching him talk to you, watching you smile at him like you used to be a normal person with a normal life. He trailed off. It made me realize what I've taken from you. You haven't taken anything from me. Haven't I? You're about to undergo a medical procedure to have a child that isn't even mine, all to cheat a contract you only signed because I was too weak to protect you. And now you can't even have a simple conversation with an old classmate without me being suspicious of his intentions. His intentions don't matter. Mine do. I reached for his hand. I chose this, Marcus. I chose you, not because I had to, because I wanted to. He finally looked at me. What if you're wrong? What if one day you wake up and realize you chose wrong? Then I'll still choose you again. How can you be so sure? Because I love you. I said it simply, clearly. And love isn't about perfect circumstances. It's about choosing someone even when everything is complicated and messy and hard. He pulled me close then, right there in the car in our own driveway, held me like I might disappear. I don't deserve you, he whispered. Good thing I don't care about what you deserve. I only care about what I want. And what do you want? You. Always you. He kissed me, desperate and grateful, and still a little bit afraid. When we pulled apart, I thought that was the end of it, just a moment of insecurity that we'd worked through together. I was wrong. Because the next morning, James Chen called me. I hope you don't mind, he said. Robert gave me your number, said you and Marcus might be interested in my research. Oh, sure, that's fine. I was thinking we could have coffee, discuss potential applications for Harrington Industries, unless that's too forward. I don't want to overstep. It was a business call, completely innocent, the kind of thing that happened every day in Marcus's world. But something made me hesitate. Let me check with Marcus first. Make sure he's available. Actually, I was hoping to speak with you specifically. Robert mentioned you have a background in biochemistry. I'd love to get your perspective on some of the educational applications of my work. My perspective on something that actually interested me, something from my old life, before contracts and billionaires and impossible choices. Okay, I heard myself say, coffee would be nice. We arranged to meet that afternoon at a cafe near the university. Public, safe, innocent. I told myself I'd mention it to Marcus, but he was in back-to-back meetings all morning, and the coffee was just coffee. Just a conversation with an old classmate about research I found genuinely interesting. So I didn't tell him. That was my first mistake. James was already there when I arrived, 2 cups of coffee waiting. I remembered you liked vanilla, he said. Hope that hasn't changed. No, it hasn't. Thank you. We sat. We talked about his research, about genetic markers, about how we could identify hereditary diseases before they manifested. It was fascinating. More than that, it was a conversation about something I understood, something I'd studied, something that had nothing to do with billionaires or revenge or contracts. For an hour, I was just Ava Thompson again, the girl who wanted to be a teacher, the girl who found science beautiful. I didn't realize how much I'd missed that version of myself until James smiled and said, You light up when you talk about genetics. You should be working in this field, not just married to someone who funds it. The comment wasn't meant to be rude, but it landed heavy anyway. My life took a different direction, I said carefully. Did it? Or did someone else direct it for you? What's that supposed to mean? James set down his coffee. I'm sorry, that was out of line. It's just, I remember you in college. You were passionate about teaching, about making science accessible to everyone. And now he gestured vaguely. I don't know. You seem different, smaller somehow. I'm not smaller. Then where's the Ava who argued with Professor Kim for an entire semester about standardized testing? Where's the Ava who organized study groups for struggling students? Where's the person you wanted to be? I opened my mouth to defend myself, to explain about my father's debt and the contract and everything that led me here. But I couldn't, Because James didn't know any of that. To him, I was just a woman who'd married rich and given up her dreams. People change, I said finally. Do they? Or do circumstances change them? He leaned forward. Ava, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm genuinely concerned. You seem trapped. And I remember you being the least trapped person I knew. I'm not trapped. But even as I said it, I wondered if it was true. Okay, James said gently. If you say so. But if you ever want to talk, or if you ever want to actually do something with that brilliant mind of yours, I'm here. No judgment, just an old friend who'd like to see you happy. That's when I looked up and saw Marcus, standing outside the cafe window, staring at us through the glass. And the look on his face made my blood run cold. I excused myself quickly, too quickly, probably confirming whatever James thought about my situation. But I didn't care. I had to get to Marcus. He was already walking away when I burst out of the cafe. Marcus, wait! He stopped, but didn't turn around. It's not what it looked like, I said, catching up to him. Really? Because it looked like you were having coffee with another man without telling me. It was just coffee. He wanted to discuss his research. Then why didn't you tell me you were meeting him? I didn't have a good answer. You were busy. It didn't seem important. Didn't seem important. Marcus finally turned to face me, and his eyes were cold again. That wall I'd spent months breaking down was suddenly back up. You had a private meeting with a man who very clearly has feelings for you, and you didn't think that was important enough to mention. He doesn't have feelings for me. We're just old friends. Friends don't look at friends the way he looks at you, Ava, and they don't suggest that you're trapped in your own marriage. My stomach dropped. You heard that? I heard enough. His voice was sharp, hurt. Is that what you think? That you're trapped with me? No. Marcus, no. I love you. You know I love you. Do I? Because right now I'm wondering if you love me, or if you've just convinced yourself you do. Because you don't see another option. He stepped back when I reached for him. Maybe James is right. Maybe I have made you smaller. Maybe marrying me destroyed the person you were supposed to become. That's not true, isn't it? You signed a contract to have a baby that isn't even mine to save me from consequences I probably deserve. You gave up your freedom, your future, your dreams, all for what? A man who can't even keep you safe? A man whose father's sins keep destroying everything we try to build? Marcus, please. Maybe you should have coffee with Dr. Chen again. Maybe you should remember what it's like to talk to someone who sees potential in you instead of someone who keeps dragging you down. He walked away, and I stood there on the sidewalk, feeling like I'd been slapped. I went home. Marcus wasn't there. Clara found me in the library crying into a book I wasn't reading. Mr. Harrington left, she said gently. He said he needed time to think. Where did he go? I don't know, dear. But he'll come back. He always does. What if he doesn't? What if I've ruined everything? Clara sat beside me. Tell me what happened. So I did. All of it. James and the coffee and Marcus's jealousy and the things James said about me being trapped. When I finished, Clara was quiet for a moment. May I tell you something about Mr. Harrington? She finally said. Please. When his mother died, he was 12 years old, and he made a promise at her funeral. He promised he'd never let anyone he loved suffer because of him, that he'd protect people by keeping them at a distance. She patted my hand. He's broken that promise with you. He's let you in. He's let himself love you. And now he's terrified that loving him is hurting you. But it's not. You and I know that. But Marcus, she shook her head. Marcus sees everything through the lens of people he's lost. His mother, Sophia, Emma. Everyone who got close to him ended up in pain. So when he saw you with Dr. Chen, when he heard someone suggesting you're unhappy, it confirmed his worst fear. That I'd be better off without him. Exactly. That's ridiculous. Is it? Clara looked at me seriously. You did give up a lot to be with him, dear. Your father's debt could have been paid other ways. You could have said no to the contract. You could have walked away at any point. But you stayed. And now you're having a procedure tomorrow to conceive a child that isn't genetically his, all to cheat a contract you only signed to save his life. I did that because I love him. I know, but from Marcus's perspective, you sacrificed everything, and he can't stand that. Can't stand being someone worth sacrificing for. She stood. You need to make him understand something, Ava. You need to make him understand that you didn't give up your dreams. You changed them. And he's not a consolation prize, he's the prize. How do I do that when he won't even talk to me? You find him, and you make him listen. I found him at the cemetery, standing in front of a grave I'd never seen before. Small, simple, just a name and two dates barely 6 months apart. Emma Harrington. He'd had a gravestone made for the daughter he never met. I come here sometimes, Marcus said without turning around. He'd known I was there. I know she wasn't born. I know there's no body here, but I needed a place to acknowledge she existed, that she mattered. I moved to stand beside him. She did matter. She does. I think about her a lot, what she would have been like if she'd have my mother's eyes or Sophia's. Laugh. If she'd be brave like you or careful like me. His voice cracked. And I wonder if she'd be disappointed in the man I've become. If she'd look at me and think, that's my father, the man who couldn't protect my mother, the man who let his own father erase me from existence? Marcus, you were a victim too. You didn't know, but I should have. I should have fought harder, been stronger, been better. He finally looked at me. And now, I'm doing it again, letting you sacrifice yourself for me, letting you give up everything to save me from my own family's curse. I'm no better than my father, Ava. I'm just destroying you more slowly. You're not destroying me. You're loving me. There's a difference. Is there? Because from where I'm standing, everyone I love ends up smaller, broken, trapped, like James said. James doesn't know me, not really. He knew a version of me from 6 years ago, a version that didn't know what love was, that didn't understand sacrifice or partnership, or what it means to choose someone every single day. I stepped closer. You want to know why I changed? It wasn't because you trapped me. It was because you freed me. How can you say that? I've done nothing but trap you. You showed me what I actually wanted. The words burst out of me. I thought I wanted to be a teacher, to live a quiet life helping students understand science. And maybe that was true once. But you know what I've learned since being with you? I don't want a quiet life. I don't want safe and predictable and small. I want challenging and complicated and real. I want mornings with you, arguments with you, plans with you, a future with you. That's not me being trapped. That's me choosing exactly what I want. But what about your dreams? My dreams changed. People are allowed to change their dreams, Marcus. And my new dream? I grabbed his hand, made him look at me. It's you. It's us. It's whatever life we build together, messy and complicated as it is. So stop trying to save me from you, because I don't want to be saved. I want to be loved. And you love me better than anyone ever has. He was crying now, silent tears down his face. I'm so scared of losing you, he whispered. Then hold on, Hyder. Stop pushing me away every time you think you're bad for me. Let me decide what's good for me. Let me choose you. I wiped his tears. And tomorrow, when we go to that clinic, we're not just cheating Richard's contract. We're choosing our future together. Understand? Together, he repeated. Always together. He kissed me then, in front of Emma's grave, with the sun setting and the wind picking up, and everything uncertain except us. I'm sorry, he said against my lips, for being jealous, for pushing you away, for being an idiot. You're my idiot, he laughed, broken and relieved. I saw you with him, and I panicked. He represented everything you could have had, everything you gave up to be with me. He represented a past I don't want anymore. You represent the future I'm choosing, even though that future is complicated, especially because it's complicated. Easy is boring. You're extraordinary. We stood there until the cemetery closed, just holding each other, grounding each other, remembering why we were fighting in the first place. It wasn't about contracts or revenge or billionaire games. It was about this. Us. The choice to love someone despite everything, or maybe because of everything. The next morning, we went to the clinic together, hand in hand, united, ready. The procedure was quick, clinical. Nothing romantic about it. But when it was done, when the doctor said everything looked good and we just had to wait, Marcus held my hand and whispered, "Thank you." For what? For choosing me, for staying, for being braver than I could ever be. We're brave together. That's how this works. We left the clinic feeling hopeful, scared, but hopeful. We'd just pulled off the first part of the plan. Now we just had to wait and see if it worked. And if it did, if I actually got pregnant, then the real challenge would begin. Hiding the truth from Richard, raising a child in the middle of this war, building a life on a foundation of lies. But we'd face it together. At least, that's what I thought. What I didn't know, what neither of us knew, was that Richard had been at the clinic, not inside, but watching, documenting, recording. He knew about the donor. He knew about the procedure. He knew everything. And he was planning something that would destroy us more completely than anything we'd faced so far. Because Richard Castellano wasn't just playing chess. He was playing a completely different game. And we'd just walked into checkmate. The call came 3 days later, not to Marcus, to me. Richard's voice was cheerful, pleasant, terrifying. "Ava, darling, how are you feeling? Any morning sickness yet? Too early, I suppose." My blood turned to ice. "How did you—" "I know, everything. The clinic, the donor, the clever little plan you and Marcus cooked up with Sophia's help." He chuckled. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice? I've had people watching you for months. Every move, every call, every secret meeting. I couldn't breathe." "Here's what's going to happen," Richard continued. "You're going to tell Marcus the procedure failed. You're going to insist on trying naturally. And you're going to conceive a child with your husband's genetics, like our contract states, or Or what? Or I release the surveillance footage, every moment from that clinic, every conversation with Sophia, every plan you made to cheat me. His voice turned cold. And then I destroy Marcus completely. Not just his company, him, his reputation, his freedom. I have enough evidence of fraud to put him in prison for 10 years, Ava. The only question is, do you love him enough to save him? What do you want? I want you to do your wifely duty. I want you to give Marcus the heir he needs, the real heir, genetically his, not some donor's child. And if you do that, he paused, then maybe, just maybe, I'll let him keep his life. And if I refuse, then you lose everything. Your husband goes to prison, your marriage ends, and I still get my heir, just not from you. His voice turned sharp. Choose wisely, Mrs. Harrington. You have 24 hours. He hung up, and I sat there, alone in the library, realizing we hadn't outsmarted Richard at all. We'd just given him another weapon to use against us. Tell me something. What would you do in my position? Tell your husband the truth and watch him sacrifice himself again? Or lie to the man you love and give Richard exactly what he wants? Because those were my only choices, and both of them destroyed us. Drop a comment with where you're watching from and tell me, when someone threatens the person you love, do you fight or do you surrender? Because what I decided next would change everything, for better or worse, and I had less than one day to figure out which.